So our clients want to know more about Florida, buying a business in Florida, doing business in Florida. And one of the reasons why people are really interested in Florida, Patrick, is the exact reason why you and I moved here. It's kind of business and pleasure at the same time, work-life balance, um, the great weather, the great people. We kind of want to know more about it. So let's talk a bit about your Florida journey. What made you move to Florida? And then we'll take it from there. Hey, you want to come to the US, get to E2 visa, L1, or straight out a green card? We've been doing this for the past 10 years, and we wrote a book. It's called Own Your American Dream. What is special about this book is that we went back and have spoken to 21 successful applicants who opened up their businesses here and who are continuing to live the American dream. Hear it from them, because they talk about their fears, their mental state, what went wrong, what went right. The entire blueprint is there. You could just buy the book right here. You can just read it and make up your mind. Continue your video.
Definitely. And Aladdin, as I wrote a book on how immigrants can move to the US and learn from prior mistakes and all different types of case studies. And I start the book talking about my own family. And I kind of repeated their error where my family moved from Italy and Ireland and settled in New York. High costs, pollution, traffic, long commutes back home, kind of just very overly direct culture, at least for me. And my parents moved down to Virginia, not all the way to Florida. I had an aunt that moved to Florida, and I would always visit as a kid and loved Florida and loved everything about it, whether it was the beaches, the warm weather, going to Disney World. And then I moved up to New York, and I saw firsthand, why my parents left New York and why it's such a tough place, and if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere, but that doesn't mean you should make it in New York. And I rediscovered Florida 14 years ago, and started applying for jobs. This is back in 2012. And I just fell in love with Miami. I thought it was a really cool, multicultural city. I think the foreign born population's 30 to 40%. People speak in the same conversation between English and Spanish. I love that, having learned Spanish in school, spent time abroad. You also throw in Portuguese, all the Brazilian immigrants. And I really loved Florida, but in particular, the multicultural environment in South Florida that has led to so many people, whether from the US to move down to Florida or from abroad to come into Florida. So very welcoming environment. It's one of the best states for foreign nationals, international entrepreneurs to move to. It can be a smoother adjustment, less bureaucracy than a lot of other states like Illinois, New York, less red tape. Depending where you're coming from, there's some cultural similarities where you might be coming from. And it's big population. You have nearly 23 million people. Hundreds of thousands of people are moving to Florida every year. There's less domestic migration, but there's still very strong people coming from abroad, leading to a net migration in Florida. So a lot of cities to choose from. I chose Miami. It was a good fit for me and my family. But you have benefits of Tampa and Naples. I love St. Augustine, Orlando, Jacksonville.
Lucy,
Port St.
Daytona Beach,
Lucie.
Melbourne.
So there's no one size fits all in Florida, but if you like warm weather and you like the beaches, and you don't want to have the cold, it's a great state.
Yes, Patrick, you kind of did make me fall in love with Miami as well. As you know, I live in South Beach, and my story with Miami was kind of like, I think it was January when I first came to Miami. It was a January, not this January.
January 2024, right? You made the drive
January
from Orlando to our office.
Yeah. What happened was me and my friend, we flew from Vegas to Tampa, and then we went to Orlando, and it was really cold, and I don't really like the cold weather, right? And then we were wearing our jackets and pants and whatever not, and we drove down to Miami from Orlando. It's a beautiful 4-hour drive. And the moment we came to the Lincoln Road, right, parked right in front of McDonald's. I stepped out of the car and it was hot and it was beautiful. I, you know, took off my clothes and, shorts and t-shirt. And I said to myself, okay, the, the, the luxury that this is, it's pretty hard to comprehend and it's pretty hard to value, right? I mean, what's the value of having a year-round summer, not having to wear big
You don't have
jackets
to
or
worry. We're making so
yeah,
many decisions as it is, like what to wear. You can wear the same type of
correct.
clothes every day.
And where it really hit me was we were at Miami Beach. We were staying at Miami Beach. So we were at a hotel. Woke up. I think it was like 7:30 in the morning. Sun was rising. We went on the beach, and I saw a lot of people, doing yoga and doing
Was
some
this
other
on
activities.
Second Street down on the beach, probably?
Yeah, it was somewhere around there. I think around South Point or something. And I said to myself, "Oh my God, hold on a minute. There are these yoga groups, and these people are just soaking in life."
It's
And I
alive.
said to myself, and I had a friend back then, Greg, and I asked Greg, I said, Greg, is this the real end point in life? Like you do all that, you do business, make money, be successful, and everything. Is this where you go? He goes, like, yeah, okay. Why don't I start from here? Why don't I start from the very end point, right? If you make it, you don't make it, doesn't really matter at that point because you're at the end point anyway. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like,
People work their whole
um,
life crushing their careers in a lot of the northern cities to retire in Florida. Why not just
correct.
do it right away? And Miami
Yeah.
and a lot of the Floridian cities have really grown where there's a lot of employers too. Maybe
Yeah.
you're listening to this and you want to move and invest in a franchise business and run that, but your spouse wants to get a job and have a more stable income and have the healthcare benefits that come with being employed. It can be a good
Yeah.
medium because there now are plenty of jobs available in Florida, and there's a lot of companies that are relocating from Chicago, New York, all areas of the Midwest, Northeast, even California. Since COVID, you have companies from California moving to South Florida. So a lot of opportunities. Cost of living's gone up, but you just have to earn more and take advantage of the wealthy folks. I shouldn't say take advantage of the wealthy folks in Florida, but provide services to whether it's the elderly population where you have millions of seniors in Florida. There's a lot of wealthy folks moving to Florida that need services, and there's a business opportunity to open a franchise, and we'll go through some franchises that particularly focus on the senior population, and it's a very captive market where they need help, they have money, and if you have a good service to offer, you can provide them a top service and make good money yourself.
Let's talk about who is not a good fit for Florida, or for whom Florida is not a good fit.
So I would say Florida is a big state. Miami, in particular, if you're not, maybe you're coming from Canada and you just speak English and you just want to be around people that speak English. Miami is not for you. People are going to come up to you. They're going to start speaking Spanish. You probably should learn some Spanish. So there are certain cities where if you don't want to have those, being a multicultural, multilingual environment, it might not be a good fit. But there are towns in Florida that have a very large Anglophone Canadian population or even Francophone Canadian population. So, in terms of Florida, it really depends where you are. Even politically, it's a little more right leaning, but there's a lot of very liberal neighborhoods, towns in Florida. So it's just going to depend where you are. If you don't like the summer, if you don't like the heat, or if you don't like it when it's 80, 90s, then you could come to Florida, but you probably should plan to spend 4 months back in Canada or 4 months back in Europe or wherever you're coming from during those hot months, because it does get hot in Florida.